Hey, everybody. Firstly, thanks to Whitney and everybody, all your team for all your hard work. This has been a really, really great experience, and I'm just blown away by this fair and Crosstown Concourse, Crosstown Arts. Everything has just been on point. So this work right here was from a show I had at Channel to Channel last year called Cobwebs and Catacombs. My work incorporates portraiture through wall and floor line drawings using black masking tape as the medium. Here recently, I have become more interested in our digital space and how we use selfies, screen time, and face recognition to communicate with the world. So my current show here is dealing with those concepts a little bit more. In this work, I use a gallery as my studio, which is something I've found brings me more in touch with the community that motivates me and brings me out of the studio, which can sometimes feel isolating. So my art practice had consisted of abstract work for years, but starting a gallery made me transition from abstract imagery to currently what I call installation face recognition. Starting a gallery is not something I'd planned on doing, but something I saw was needed to create a healthier art ecosystem in Nashville. So I realized the first few years that I was living in Nashville that there weren't very many opportunities for me as a visual artist, and I was faced with the decision that I would either have to move to a different city, such as New York City, or I would have to make something that could provide more opportunity for artists such as myself. So to tell you the truth, it was quite a lonely time in the studio, and I thought it was going to be getting back into the studio after college. It was going to be a joyous, exciting experience, and it was far from it, really. It wasn't until I started to involve others that things really started to make sense with my art. So I realized it would be way more beneficial for me and the contemporary art culture in Nashville and beyond if I started my own initiative that could provide a platform for contemporary artists living and working in the South. In 2011, I moved to Nashville and rented a tiny studio in an old warehouse about the size of a storage room, about 150 square feet. That eventually turned into a larger room in the same building that a retired lawyer had fixed up. She put down nice linoleum floor, had an asbestos and lead paint test done. It was super nice. So was far from a studio, and she hardly used the place. So when she moved out, I jumped right on it. Right about that time, the building was participating in monthly art openings for some of the artist-run galleries and studio spaces. So I decided to open up mine as well. I wasn't creating enough work at the time to keep it fresh every month, so that's when I started reaching out to other artists around the area whose work I enjoyed and admired to show in the space with a rotating artist every month. Around the same time, my friend and I started discussing the lack of opportunities for people in Nashville to draw from a model. So I started hosting figure drawing sessions around the same time, about 3 times a week. So through these sessions and the constant engagement with artists whose work I enjoyed, eventually stumbled on this work and started providing more platforms to the artists living and working in Nashville, while also creating a more fine-tuned practice for myself. So the studio life wasn't really for me. In college, it's all exciting. You have teachers and peers pushing you constantly, constant feedback, and new pathways being thrown at you all the time. But I realized I was in a bubble in my own studio, and I needed more engagement from others to make it all worthwhile. Not all of us are artists, but I think a lot of us feel disconnected from life and others these days when, ironically, we're supposed to be more connected than ever. Conversely, the internet and social media is making it to where artists can do it on their own. And if that's you, then I say go for it. It just wasn't for me. And it made me realize how important engaging with people out in the real world is. And it's important for myself, and I feel like for the culture of the South, America, and the world, that we continue to engage with each other through real-life initiatives such as what Crosstown Arts is doing, what the YCC is doing, and what Young Arts Patrons is doing. There's so much opportunity in cities such as Memphis and Nashville to create something unique and provide a platform for more contemporary artists and more opportunities for collectors, patrons, and enthusiasts to invest, engage with the contemporary art culture in the South. So I'm keeping it short and sweet. That's the way that I like to. It doesn't look like it, but I try to keep everything pretty simple and to the point.